Day 5 officially of setup. When we're looking at the tree lot, you got to have a shitter. People need to go to the bathroom, so let's not forget that on our checkoff list. Then we start looking at our boards on the ground. We'll go and look at our guys here in a second, but we got 5 guys putting our boards that were stored in the storage container all year, getting everything organized for tomorrow, which will have 7 guys and a bunch of machines to make sure that we can get ready for this. So boards are color coordinated, and then we start laying out, and you'll see as we progress, this area right here will hang our big trees from 12 to 16 foot at the average sale price of $550. We're in Florida, so there's not a lot of rocks, but a really awesome investment that we made. We used to dig them literally, or at least when I was a kid, my father made me dig them with hole post diggers. So we invested in the hydraulics and the auger, an awesome investment. Again, more on organization. This will end up being checkout counter, and this will end up being the wreath boards with protection. But again, we're just trying to highlight the prep. We spend as much money in the prep as we do for labor in the sell season, probably a little bit more, but it's all about getting it so you can sell these trees in 2 to 3 weeks and go home and celebrate Christmas. This area, all that we're looking out here, we're going to move, and that's something that we always have to consider as Christmas tree retailers and lot setup. We've got an awesome location here, but we'll walk over here. It is also for lease. So behind us we have Planet Fitness, we have a Publix, a major shopping center, and we've got a major roadway here, so we've got traffic, but we never know if it's going to be available next year. So we are really grateful for this year. We'll take that for a lease sign, we'll move it up, and then we've got a 40 by 80 tent to protect our trees and increase the shopper experience, the Christmas tree buyer. That will come right here, that you'll see in future episodes. Right here we've got all our stand straights. So this is unique. I see a lot of people on YouTube and a lot of stands just leaning them up on fences, leaning them up where they will, but since I can remember, we've bought into this system. So we're lucky. We've got a carpentry division in my day job, if you will, at Rockaway Landscape Company, but we recycle a lot of wood. It doesn't need to look pretty, but we put this pin system in, get it in here, and then you'll see in future episodes, we'll put a bowl in there, so all the trees, as soon as they come in and get stood up, we slice them, and they're drinking water, because the most important thing about a Christmas tree is it's fresh, as compared to, say, the Home Depots or the chains, wherever that could be. We want to make sure it's the freshest, and we will detail how we make it the freshest possible experience for the end user or our customer. So we'll look at that. Another thing, we have the opportunity here, we got Shrimp Shack right here. Your relationships with not only your growers, which I'll touch on later, but the truck drivers. So we broke with the same trucking company to come from North Carolina year after year, and we make sure when they come here they go with fresh Mayport shrimp going out from the Shrimp Shack. But you've got to take care of that trucker, because you've only got 18 to 25 days to sell these things. If the trucker is not responsive, and we've had it in years past where they break down or it takes 3 days longer, it can mess up all the logistics. So the trucking is fundamental to how you do a tree lot experience take care of your truckers. Feed them some shrimp, or wherever you're at, feed them well going home, because they're going to remember it and they're going to want to come back. And that's so important. As opposed to our recycled tree peg stand here, we've got this system here, which is a hell of a lot easier to store and cleaner for 25 bucks. The problem is, above a 6 or 7 foot tree, we find they don't stand them up quite the same as the wooden ones. So we trade the efficiency of these for the smaller ones, for the bigger ones, to the wooden ones, to make sure that we get the stand and the tree really supported when the wind comes, because inevitably the wind's going to come, and if you don't have the right stand, you're not going to get that forest-like experience. Here's the originator. What year did you start?
1967.
1967. So what's the math? How many years is this?
53.
A long time. My entire life, put it that way. I think I was conceived on a cruise ship after the first Christmas tree season, or second, right? Isn't that right?
No, I think you were probably conceived when we went up to Binghamton, New York to look at trees.
Well,
Even more so.
Needless to say, it's in our blood. This here is our baler situation. We just rebuilt this. Again, you know, this isn't rocket science. Refurbished or reused any wood we can get. Every tree is going to go onto here, get a fresh cut, at least a ½ an inch. Pops thinks an inch, but you know, we're not going to count that much. A fresh cut goes through here, and then you'll see in future episodes how we tie it up and make sure that it's really easy for the customer to get it into their house. So how much are we talking, Pops, for this baler? The smaller one, what is this, 22 inch?
No, that's an
18 inch.
And that's a 26.
And a 26. So probably everything over a 7/8 goes into the 26 inch, and everything under goes into the 18. We like to have it really snug. And when we're showing you how to tie it on the roof, it becomes really important. And really, the more seasoned the tree lot staff is, most people like to put it through the smaller. You would think it's counterintuitive. The bigger one's easier to go through, but a hell of a lot harder to put it on the roof of the tree. So that's something that we'll discuss, the efficiencies, because when it comes down to it, right, there's going to be 2, maybe 3, hopefully only 2 Saturdays and Sundays where we've got 20 trees deep going through this, and we got to do it fast, get people in and out and smiling and ho ho ho, and make sure all the things that we do, from the bowl I talked about to then we'll talk about the shaker, all the things. If you're going to be a great tree retailer, you got to do all the little things and all these details. That the point of what we're talking about on film now is to make sure you're doing it that much better than Home Depot or Lowe's and the big box stores. And that's why we're putting this on film. So you're going to have the need to chains, generators, chainsaws, just tools. Where are you going to keep them? So over the years, we've repurposed these boxes. Look, like, this isn't rocket science. We're not going to the moon here, but we got paint, all the stuff that we need. We keep them in here. We store them year over year. But the bigger thing is, you got to make it look cool, right? Red and green, simple Sherwin-Williams paint. As the drive-by, it presents the spirit of Christmas. And, you know, I don't know, a little bit of labor and a little bit of love, but these things aren't beautiful You don't have to be beautiful when you're selling Christmas trees, but you got to be practical and functionable. And yeah, there's dirt on it, but from a distance it says ho ho ho. Totes here, spend whatever, 20, 25 bucks. Keep your stuff organized for the next year, because you're always going to buy a little bit more than you need, or you're going to have stuff to store. You keep them organized. You keep a spreadsheet of what you got, because it will be $1,000 in materials, 1,200 bucks, and then you got 300-400 bucks that maybe you use, maybe you don't, but you got to keep them organized. And you know, it's all about efficiency and being practical and doing the right thing, really. You don't want the screws going all over. Just keep things organized. Those totes are great. I think we've got it down now. We're going to sell $250,000 worth of Christmas trees, and for, I don't know, a couple $100 in totes, we will keep it all organized for the next year. So whether you're starting small and you sell 300-400, one truckload of trees the first year or not, you want to just keep these things organized. And really it comes down to the pressure of getting things done in a really small time period. Whether it rains, whether it snows, wherever you're at, you've got to be organized. So that's definitely a hack. Buy yourself some totes, label what's in there, and next year it's easy to come by it. When you get really good at it, and this is our first year that we've developed the storage space here in this retail center, we bought a 20-foot Connex. This year we're probably going to get a 40, so everything that we have now is going to be stored in the Connex. And like I talked about, we don't know if we're going to be at this location next year because it's for lease. Fingers crossed. We've been here 5 years and it's an awesome location. Hopefully that we do. But in case that we don't, we're going to put everything except for the storage boxes that we just talked about will be in a Connex. In case we have to move at any point in time, they're in the Connex. So for $500, we can move it and land it where we want. So that's definitely something that we're happy about. The family gave me a little bit of slack on, hey, do we want to spend 1,200 bucks on a 20-foot Connex? Yeah, we do, because then we can move it. And a lot of what we're trying to do is release and relieve the tension of the next year and the logistics of it, because again, you got 20 days to do all this. You know, where I come from, 250 grand in 20 days is a lot of money. So anything that we could do prior to when the trees come, that's what we're really after. All right, so we're back here and it'll make a little bit more sense, but again, it's about the organization. And thankfully, every guy that we've got on this lot was here last year. Some of them have been here as long as 3 years. The more seasoned help, and that's another hack, right? Like, this is how we treat it. Most of these guys all work for our landscape company, so this is a quote-unquote side hustle for us, even though that's what got us into the landscape business. We pay them the same thing that we do at an hourly rate at the landscape job or at Rockaway for setup. And then when we move into the sales, it's 15 bucks an hour plus tips. And it doesn't matter if you work for Rockaway, that's just our standard. And that, I believe, is a really healthy wage. You got to pay your people to do it really right, really well, to make sure that they come back year after year. And honestly, these guys love to do it. They're spreading Christmas cheer. And believe me, their presents under their Christmas tree are a hell of a lot bigger when you're paying them well. If you try to go the other direction and get the homeless guy to load the trees that's hungover and whatever, and skimp on the help, it doesn't work. You got to be professional all the way through if you're going to run this thing 50 plus years and be the best at selling trees. And that's what we're after here. We want to teach you how to sell them, get the tree in the house fresh, and do it a lot better than Home Depot and make good margins. That's what we're after with this whole video situation. So we're gonna get you there. Stick with me, and I promise you, you're gonna make a lot of money. The most money that you probably ever made in 20 days.